Sure, sure.
Okay. Are we recording? Wait a minute. Do you see it?
Yes, there we go.
Okay.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Between Two Teachers for April 30th, last day of the month. And we are bringing you news and information about education all over. So I am Consuelo Lara.
I'm Madeline Cronenberg, and I wanted to share our land acknowledgement. We pause to acknowledge that we have gathered today on the ancestral territory of Huichin, part of the unceded land of the Chochenyo and Karkan-speaking Muwekma Ohlone people. We remember their continued connection to this region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, and pray on their traditional homeland. We offer our respect to their elders and all Ohlone people of the past and present. So today, there's a lot going on in education, as always. Nationally, one of the biggest national stories is as this school reopening is sort of moving that are political, which is why really now that our schools are basically in the path of on their way to be fully reopened in the fall, and those decisions have been made. And the pandemic is slowly, thank God, moving into our past. I went back to the bridge and moved our pandemic classroom into the past too. The national story that I wanted to share is one that I suggest if you're interested in education and unique stories, is the story of Mr. Robert Runcie. And Mr. Runcie is the superintendent in Broward County. And it's a complicated story, but it's essentially this week, Mr. Runcie resigned from his position and also their county council did. And he did it as a result of charged for perjury before a grand jury. And it's a very complicated story. Mr. Runcie is incredibly loved and respected by his community, by many, many members. But his community includes Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, where the Parkland shootings took place and 17 members of the school community died. And that is an incident that this community is still healing from 2 years later, 3 years later. And that played into what ultimately happened to him. So Mr. Runcie's story is out there for anybody who wants to get into the many details of it. Just go ahead and Google Mr. Runcie's name. But I think it is an important story because Broward County is the 6th largest, because in Florida, they do their school districts by county. Every county is a school district. So they only have 12 districts in the whole state, as opposed to California that has 1,000 districts. So there are different approaches to how you organize your political structures around school districts. Anyway, that's that story. The reopening story is more and more districts are reopening. Newark finally did. Newark, California decided to come back. They voted on it, and they're coming back. West Contra Costa voted the other night to make a very firm statement that they will be back fully 5 days a week, starting in August for the fall semester. And so that's also moving forward, and it's moving forward for pretty much everybody. That's been the most interesting thing I was going to talk about quickly in California regarding around privatization, which we've talked about, the charter schools. And there is a bill called AB 1316, which is sponsored by Mr. O'Donnell, Patrick O'Donnell, former classroom teacher, to prevent a scandal, to respond to a giant scandal of a virtual schools network that was operated in San Diego. And the two people who started, 11 people were indicted, criminal indictments. They're having to repay $200 million to the state of California. This is not a little thing. And the reason, a big part of the reason was loopholes in government oversight. So there's the bill AB 1316, which need to pay. I mean, right now they pay 1%. This is going to go to 3%, and there'll be an office of an auditing office that that will oversee them statewide, and more provisions requiring them to follow really some very basic guidelines. Mr. O'Donnell mentioned when I watched the hearing, and I've linked to it in our resources. Mr. O'Donnell mentioned that these really were cash cows. So you could have a very small district in California, a district of under 100 children, where the superintendent is the bus driver and the sixth grade teacher and the superintendent, right? It was legal for that district to oversee a charter school that has 4,000 children and collect the money and the oversight fee, even though there was no way that they could legitimately oversee that. And that was done. And that's one of the people who's in the 11 people who've been indicted. So there needed to be oversight here. And that's what Mr. O'Donnell's bill provides. It is being incredibly opposed by the charter school industry because they feel that they lose their flexibility. And they misuse their flexibility. I mean, that's the least you can say about this, is they misused it and abused their flexibility, and that flexibility can't be allowed to exist anymore, I don't think.
Yeah. Wow. So where is that bill right now?
They had their hearing this week. It was approved. It's going to appropriations.
Okay.
Just follow it. AB 1316.
All right. We'll be making sure everybody knows where it is, what's it doing, what they can do, what you can do.
Yes. Yeah, and what we all can do is just set up is that you can run a scam. And as Mr. O'Donnell said, during the testimony and trial, some of the, or actually, I guess in interviews, some of the lawyers and the people who were charged said what we did was legal. And it was true. There was no law against it.
Of course. There you go.
That's the thing. There was no law against it. And that's where that amount of flexibility of no law against it needs to be gone. There needs to be a law against it. And that's what 1316 is the law against it.
That's great. That is really great. Cool.
So tell us about the county.
Okay. Well, we haven't met since the last time, because we have like once a month, but a lot is happening in Area 1, which is of our county, which is our the superintendent's report. Talked to a lot about what's happening, so I'll report on that. All the school buildings are open. They've served over 6,200 students so far, and they've gotten 4 positive cases at all of that, because they've got all these protocols. And they still need staff to help for the final week. So there's like 5 weeks left. And there's some recent events. Middle College was named the California Distinguished School, Middle College High School. That's nice. De Anza High School Junior ROTC The team of Alan and Jan, Lionel Verano, Elizabeth Ortiz, and Nicholas Jan, they qualified for academic bowl scholarships in Washington, D.C. So that's cool. And then Pinole High School senior Kevin Hernandez and the Spartans were featured in the Diablo magazine because of their work to combat pollution. Those are the kind of things we like to hear about. So there's going to be summer school, really extended summer school. It looks like there's going to be El Cerrito and De Anza for high school, and middle school will be Pinole and Dijon. Let's see, Vista, and then elementary schools, King, Terra Hills, Collins, and Harding, Lupine, and Nystrom. So they're going to have extended school year of summer schools, a summer program. And it's the time for celebrations. So their graduation ceremonies are planned outdoors for everybody. So there's going to be, the safety committee is going to be reporting about that, I think on Monday, I believe. And so the ceremonies, May 22nd, Middle College, and the whole week of June 3rd to June 12th. So I just think that's, great. Oh, and there's the reclassification ceremony. That's for students that get out of ELD. That one's going to be on May 24th, and it's going to be on Zoom. That will be Zoom. Oh, and the African American Students of Honor ceremony, we've been having that for years and years, will be Tuesday, May 25th, also on Zoom. Oh, it's too bad they can't have it outdoors somewhere. And that's a Tuesday evening. And they're bringing back the employee celebration and retirement event.
Yeah.
They're going to bring that back. So that'll be Friday, June 4th. 6 p.m. also in through Zoom as well. So let me see. So let's see. Next board meeting is the 5th of May. Safety committee, as I said, on Monday. And yeah, that looks like it for the points of what's happening. And one of the things I'm working on at the county is to bring about a resolution concerning testing. And you know, all things kind of lead to testing. When I put myself in the mind frame of dismantling systemic racism in education, and I think about disproportionality and, you know, how students are classified and put here and there, and they're denied things like advanced placement or gate, it all comes back to the same thing.
Absolutely.
Testing. So that's,
absolutely.
Yeah, so we're zeroing in on that. Absolutely. And also equity, it's an equity issue, of course. And we're also looking at how equity and reparations also can come together. So our County Office of Education has got to acknowledge these social issues. They're just like, oh, business as usual. We're just gonna keep on going like nothing is, you know, happening out in the world. So I'm trying to bring those things, those social justice issues forward. And yeah, I think that's about it. Anything else that?
Well, I think we want to talk a little bit about our action alerts.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we've always got those, right? So in addition to following, certainly you can contact your the members of now the Appropriations Committee to support it. That in addition to that, there are all of the action alerts from the California Teachers Association, the National Education Association, the California Federation of Teachers, the Network for Public Education. They all have action alerts. One of the biggest ones right now is the Cancel the Test action alert by the California Teachers Association. So we really do support that. And then there is one other one. There's an adult ed action alert. And that is to, I have the letter, and what we're doing is supporting Federal Senate Bill 1126. That is supported by, it's a bipartisan bill, and we have so few of those now where you have a Democrat and a Republican joining to support this bill, to co-author it. And it's Mr. Reed of Rhode Island, the Democrat, and Mr. Young, Senator Young of Indiana, ed research and prove that research, we believe, will prove what we know, which is that adult ed serves the families and the communities that it offers its services to, and it serves them well. That's what that is about. It's to fund that research, the federal research, which then is what they would be able to build, use as the reason to continue funding and expand funding for adult ed. So please do write to your federal, your senators and your federal representatives to support Senate Bill 1126. That's that one. And then the other one, my big shout out is to the good people of the Contra Costa Community College Foundation. They created something called the Finish Line Fund, and that of the 2021 graduates from Contra Costa Community College. It's a wonderful idea. It means there are no barriers left, and they're paying from whatever your debt may be. They said from $7 to $1,500. Folks have the cost of going to community college is of course much lower than any other. It is the best deal that you can ever find, but having this done is even better. I am so very impressed that the foundation has done this, and I hope they continue to do it in the future, because this is what really makes what Mr. Biden is saying, what President Biden is saying, is to have free community college. These families have free community college because now they don't have that one. I mean, $1,000. If you have $1,000 and whatever those costs were, that would keep you from getting your associate's degree, right? Forever, because you're never going to go back and do it. And now this lifts that off of them and allows everybody to graduate. So it's a huge celebration at Contra Costa.
Great, that is a great shout out.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So that is it, I think, for us. So do we have a chuckle?
Not today, not today. I'll double up on those.
We'll double up next week. We'll
Yeah.
double up next week,
We'll
and we'll have
double
lots to talk about next week. We'll be able to start talking about another event. We're about to do an event on the 16th, a webinar about testing and the history of testing and what we can do to help reform it and eliminate it to the extent that we need to. So we'll talk to you again next week.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.